So in this video, we're going to go over a really quick example of gains from trade. We're going to get some information. We're going to use that information to draw a couple production possibilities boundaries. We're going to calculate opportunity costs and discuss comparative and an absolute advantage, as well as specialization. At that point, we're going to be able to start talking about terms of trade, or kind of prices in terms of trade. So imagine there's two individuals, Tully and Lupe, and they have different abilities to produce two different products, tacos and margaritas. Tully takes 3 minutes to produce a margarita and 1 minute and 30 seconds to produce a taco. Lupe, on the other hand, takes 6 minutes to make a margarita and 2 minutes to produce a taco. So let's first draw out these production possibility boundaries, then we can start talking about absolute and comparative advantage as well as specialization. All right, so we have our little worksheet here that we can figure out where we can draw the production possibility boundaries and start thinking about who has both the absolute and comparative advantage of each of these goods. So let's start off by drawing the production possibility boundaries. And the easiest way to do that is to figure out the two extremes. So let's think about if each of these individuals concentrated on margarita production. Well, we know it takes Tully 3 minutes to make a margarita, which means in 1 hour he could produce 20 margaritas. Alternatively, Lupe is a bit slower making margaritas, and it takes her 6 minutes. Well, in 1 hour, that means we're fixing the resources at 1 hour, as we see down here with the hourly production. Lupe can produce 10 margaritas in 1 hour. Now, turning our attention to tacos, it takes Tully 1 minute and 30 seconds to produce a taco. Well, that means in 1 hour he could produce 40 of them. Where Lupe takes 2 minutes to produce a taco, it means in 1 hour she could produce 30 of them. So let's draw out our production possibility boundaries for each of these individuals. And let's start with Tully. So we have the two intercepts. So Tully can have 40 tacos or 20 margaritas. So that looks about right. Make sure the color is right. It's green. So there's our production possibility boundary for Tully. Notice it's a nice straight line. It's constant opportunity cost, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, because it takes the same amount of time no matter how many they produce. And now moving on to Lupe, we see that she can produce 30 tacos or 10 margaritas. So those are the two intercepts, and we can draw a blue line between the two to represent her production possibility boundary. So you might have been able to figure it out just by looking up the question. But let's now talk about absolute advantage and which individual has the absolute advantage in which good. Tully's just saying hello there, and he's announcing that he has the absolute advantage in both goods. And that's because with the same amount of resources, in this case 1 hour, 60 minutes, Tully can produce more tacos than Lupe, 40 versus 30, as well as more margaritas, 20 versus 10. So Tully has the absolute advantage in both of these goods. But we know that specialization in trade doesn't rely on absolute advantage. The key is comparative advantage, which relies on the opportunity costs. So the next thing we have to figure out is the opportunity cost for each good for each individual. And whoever has the lower opportunity cost of each good is going to have a comparative advantage in that good. So let's calculate the opportunity cost for margaritas first, since margaritas is actually on the x-axis. So remember that the opportunity cost of margaritas in terms of tacos is the slope of this production possibilities boundary or frontier. And so for Tully, we can figure out the slope first, and we see that the rise is negative 40. We're going between the two intercepts. The rise is negative 40 because it goes down by 40 and it goes over by 20. So negative 40 over 20 is negative 2. So that's telling us the opportunity cost of a margarita is 2 tacos. And for Lupe, we see that the slope is negative 30 over 10, which is negative 3. So the opportunity cost for a margarita for Lupe is 3 tacos. Guess I need an S on each of these as well. Now we know the opportunity cost of tacos is the inverse of the slope in terms of margaritas. And we've already kind of calculated the opportunity cost with respect to margaritas, so it's pretty quick here. Oops, let's make sure we get the right color here. So Tully's green, so the opportunity cost for tacos is a half of a margarita. And for Lupe, if her opportunity cost of 1 margarita is 3 tacos, then her opportunity cost of 1 taco is a third of a margarita. And we've learned that we should specialize in whichever good we have a lower opportunity cost in. So here we see Tully has a lower opportunity cost of margaritas, while Lupe has a lower opportunity cost of tacos. That means Tully should concentrate on margarita production, while Lupe should concentrate on taco production. So comparative advantage for tacos is Lupe. And for margaritas is Tully. So Tully should concentrate on producing margaritas, and Lupe should concentrate on producing tacos. So if Tully just produces margaritas, if he just specializes in margaritas, his production is going to be at this green dot. If Lupe just produces tacos, her production is going to be that blue dot. And so now these individuals might want to engage in trade in order to get outside of their production possibility boundary. But we first need to talk about the terms of trade, as in, Tully's just producing margaritas. How many tacos does he get for each margarita that he trades away? And for Lupe, she's just producing tacos. How many tacos does she have to give up for each margarita? This is terms of trade, and this is what we're going to talk about in our next video.